What if I told you there's a technology that could give you the perfect answer for anything? A job interview, a big sales call, even an exam, and nobody would ever know you had help? Well, we're not just imagining it anymore. Today, we're going to break down the tool that was built to do exactly that. Wow. Okay, it really doesn't get more direct than that, does it? This is the simple four-word mission statement from Chungin Roy Lee, the founder of an AI tool called Cluely. And with that one phrase, he basically kicked off one of the biggest, most intense debates happening in tech right now. So, what is this thing that's causing such a huge stir? To really get it, you have to look at how it was born. And, the completely unapologetic philosophy behind it all. Okay, so here's how it works in a nutshell. Cluey is basically designed to be your secret co-pilot. It just runs in the background of your computer, quietly listening to your calls and watching your screen. The second a tough question comes up, bam, it feeds you answers in this translucent window that only you can see. Anyone else on the call, they have absolutely no idea it's there. You really can't separate the story of Cluey from its founder, Roy Lee. And let me tell you, it is a wild ride. The guy gets into Harvard, but then his acceptance gets rescinded. He later gets into Columbia, only to be expelled for creating a very similar cheating tool. But instead of stopping, he just leaned in, rebranded it as Cluely, and then raised millions from some of the biggest investors out there. This isn't just a startup story, it's a clear pattern of just pushing every boundary possible. So how on earth does a tool so openly about cheating even try to justify itself? Well, according to its creators, we're all just looking at it the wrong way. They argue this isn't about deception. No, it's about the natural evolution of technology. Okay, so here's their core argument. They draw this direct line to technologies that, believe it or not, were once seen as super controversial. Remember when teachers worried that calculators would just destroy our ability to do math? Or when spell check was seen as some kind of crutch for bad writers? Well, the founders of Cluely are basically saying their AI is just the next logical step in that progression, a tool that makes us more capable, not less honest. This is a direct quote from the company's official manifesto, and it's a pretty radical vision. The whole idea is that in a world with AI, the real skill isn't about memorizing things or grinding it out. It's about leveraging the best tools you have. So if everyone has access to an AI assistant, then using one isn't an unfair advantage. It just becomes the new baseline. But as you can probably guess, not everyone is buying that argument. Not even close. In fact, Cluzy's launch sparked this massive wave of outrage, and it led to the creation of its direct opposite, built by students from the very same university. The backlash was, well, immediate, and it was intense. People online were calling it everything from evil to a tool that could literally destroy society. This wasn't just some tech debate. It really tapped into these deep-seated values we have about hard work, honesty, and what it means to actually earn your achievements. And out of all this controversy, Truly was born. And what's so fascinating here is the symmetry. On one side, you've got Cluely, built by expelled Columbia students to give people an edge. And on the other side, you have Truly, built by current Columbia first-year students to detect that very edge and promote fairness. It's like a perfect philosophical showdown. And this quote from Truly's co-founder, Antonio Lee, really gets to the heart of their whole philosophy. He argues that if tools like Cluely become the norm, it just forces everyone to cheat just to keep up. Their goal isn't to stop AI, but to make sure that its use is transparent and, well, honest. So we've got the big idea, we've got the backlash, but let's get practical for a second. How does Cluely actually function? And maybe more importantly, does its promise of being this secret superpower, does it actually hold up under pressure? The tech itself is pretty straightforward, but it's powerful. It's constantly just absorbing the context of your conversation, what's being said, what's on your screen. It then shoots all that information to an AI model, which generates relevant talking points and feeds them right back to you in real time, all through that invisible little overlay. So the entire value proposition, the whole reason this thing exists, rests on one single idea, that you can use it without getting caught. But is that really true? The reality, it turns out, is a lot riskier than the marketing wants you to believe. Yeah, in practice, there are some pretty big problems. First, there's latency. That super awkward pause while you're waiting for the AI's answer, which can totally kill the flow of a conversation. Users also report that the coached responses can make them sound, well, robotic or unnatural. And then there's advanced proctoring software that can totally flag the weird activity on your computer. And of course, if you get caught, the broken trust can have serious long-term consequences for your career. So, this whole thing takes us way beyond just one app versus another. The debate around Cluely, it's really just a preview of a much bigger conversation that, thanks to AI, we are all about to have. Ultimately, this story isn't just about Cluely or Truly. They're just symptoms of a massive shift. AI is forcing all of us to completely rethink what it even means to be skilled or competent in the first place. And this is the question we all really have to grapple with. I mean, think about it. If an AI can give you the answer to a complex coding problem or a historical fact in seconds, what are we actually measuring in an interview or an exam? Are we testing knowledge, or are we just testing unaided memory? Maybe the very definition of skill itself is changing right before our eyes. The most valuable professional in the future might not be the person who has all the facts memorized, but the person who's best at using AI tools to find, synthesize, and apply information effectively. It completely shifts competence from recall to leverage. And that leaves us with this final thought. In a world where AI can basically level the playing field of information, where anyone can access the right answer instantly, what's going to be left to set us apart? What will it really mean to be smart, to be skilled, or to be competent? That's the question Cluely forces us to ask. And the answer, well, that's something we're all going to be figuring out together.